Okay, let's get started. I'd like to call to order the Village Board meeting number 3076. It's June 23rd, 2014. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Abernathy. Present. Kim. Here. Meyer.
Here.
Semple.
Here.
Sullivan.
Here.
Voss.
All right, would everyone please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the item number 4 on the agenda is approval of minutes. She is. First, we need a motion to approve the minutes for the Committee of the Whole meeting from June 9th. It's Exhibit 1.
So moved.
Motion by Kim,
Second.
second by Meyer. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Kim. Yes. Meyer.
Yes.
Abernathy. Semple.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Voss. Yes.
Motion carries. Next, approval of the minutes from the Village Board meeting, June 9th, Exhibit 2.
So moved.
Motion by Meyer, second by Sullivan. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Meyer.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Kim. Yes. Abernathy.
Abstain.
Semple.
Yes.
Voss. Yes.
Motion carries. Next on the agenda is the time in the evening when we have public commentary. Would anyone in the audience wish to address the Village Board at this time? Okay, we have 2 here. Okay, go ahead and one at a time come on up and give your name to the clerk. And
Yeah, I'm Carol Barden, B-A-R-D-E-N, at 204 North Archer. And I'd like to ask the board to reconsider your ordinance limiting the parking on North Archer Avenue to the 2 hours. I had a conversation with Mr. Flynn last week, and he told me that that ordinance was passed due to the fact that you're trying to restrict Metro riders from parking there, and that was your solution. Also, he told me that it's because there would be a shortage of parking in the new Village Hall, at the new Village Hall site, for staff and people wanting to do business with the village, as well as Weston Corporation. I just kind of wondered about that, since this is a brand new municipal building that is shared with the headquarters of an international corporation. When it was built, that adequate parking was not considered, so that the residents in Mundelein and the residents on this street have to make other arrangements for parking. That was one problem. The other thing is that I wondered, all through this construction of North Archer, nobody ever talked to the residents about the impact of what you were doing here would have on our lives. A lot of us have lived there for a long time. I sat here for, 9-10 years, while the board in various administrations was discussing what would be done with the property, to see it change, and then rechange, and then change again. From the onset, with the removal of the trees and the upgrading of the electrical wires to high voltage and putting them from the east side to the west side, you narrowed the parkway to widen the street, so those poles are almost in our front yards. If one of those things goes down, my house is gone. I hate to, it's a terrible thought. But for safety, that's one thing. The other thing is there's still wires there that are not secured. almost every one of them has got something hanging from it or a wire that's 2 feet away from the pole instead of being affixed to the pole. And now we have the road pitch when we had the storm on Saturday. You were the road pitches to the west side, from the east side to the west side. All the water from 165 Archer, that building there, because that level parking lot at the grade is higher than the corner of Division and Archer. All that water drains right down to that intersection. There's not a storm sewer on North Archer. So it's flooded. The water carries, it has to go all the way down Archer Street, around the corner, and halfway down Division Street before it hits the first storm sewer. The water was gushing up out of it on Saturday. I think that, we have lived there for a long time. I have. I take this personally that I don't think anybody considered us. It's almost, I find it almost disrespectful to me and to my home. And I'm sorry that, I tried to be positive from the very beginning, thinking, oh, we'll have a nice area. If it looks better, it probably does a little bit better. The road's been paved. But I've lived there after 50 years, you know how many times it's been paved? It was the first time. I would think that we could expect that in Mundelein, that this is not such a giant windfall to the neighborhood that our road got paved. I'm sorry, but I think that the next time you consider projects like this, you look around the neighborhood and see what the people who live there and get up every day and go to work and take care of their property, what they feel about it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bruce Arndt, 248 North Archer. I own 2 houses on the 200 block of North Archer and a 6-flat apartment building, so I'm here representing more than myself. I'm not going to be as eloquent as Carol just was. I've only lived here for 25 years, and I've seen the same situation. All I'm asking for is the board reconsider the 2-hour parking ban, which is completely unfair to the residents, completely unfair to people who have no place to park now, and reconsider that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you very much for your comments. Those issues have been on our radar and are on them now, and you can be rest assured there will be more discussion of those same issues in the forthcoming week internally for sure, okay? Thank you. Next, that takes us to presentations and awards, Exhibit 3. And this is just a time when I want to just recognize a couple of individuals here. And I'm just going to read what Adam Boucher composed for us because he just communicates this so well. It says here, each year, the American Public Works Association, the Chicago Metro chapter, constructs a snowplow course and written exam and invites communities from the region to compete against each other to evaluate the skill of the operators from the Northeast Illinois region. The competition involves a 2-man team negotiating a course that tests the driver's skill in maneuvering around vehicles, through alleys, and around turns with a snowplow. This year, Mundelein had 2 teams represent the village at the regional competition. The 2-man team of Jeff Carrier and Michael Hassebrock finished 3rd with a total score of 557 points, only 19 points from second and 111 points from first. I think there were 30 teams, something like that.
Yes,
And they
that's
took
correct.
3rd and almost took second by just a, that had to have been painful, just that many points out of that much. Oh. The teams that finished in front of them, Naperville and Bolingbrook, are from much larger organizations and have been participating in this contest for many years. This is the 3rd year that Jeff and Mike have participated in the contest and have moved up each year. This is a significant accomplishment for Jeff and Mike and reaffirms the village's position as one of the top communities for snow and ice control in the Chicago metropolitan area. You know, a few years back, I went on a ride-along in the middle of a blizzard. I went on a ride-along with a snowplow and was, you know, just to say it was impressive is a vast understatement. I was blown away at the skill of these guys in driving the snowplow, navigating through the mailboxes, and the trash cans were out that night. It was an experience, and I just want to recognize you guys. Good job. Thank you for representing our village at this, and congratulations on your great accomplishment there. Could we give them a hand? All right. Can you stand up? I'm sorry. Jeff and Mike, you're in the back there, right? Yeah, there you are. All right. Thank you so much, all right? Good job. All right. Let's see. I have to back out of here just a second. All right, that takes us to public hearings, Exhibit 4. And this would be the fiscal year ending 2015 appropriation ordinance public hearing. And at this point, for this, I'm going to turn it over to our Finance Committee Chairman, Trustee Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the mayor has indicated, this is a public hearing in regard to the appropriation ordinance. This is a document that is required of every public body who has the appropriation ordinance method of designating revenue expenditure. The total of appropriations for corporate, special projects, and water and sewer this year is $84,050,000. Last year it was $96,100,000. This amount is far more than the village expects to spend and is far more than we have budgeted. However, the quirk of state law requires us to designate a maximum amount of expenditure that we would partake in this fiscal
Trustee
year.
Sullivan,
Yes.
we have to recess
We do.
formally and then
Okay, well,
reconvene
let's
into
vote to
this.
recess.
So let's do I need a motion to recess into this public hearing.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Sullivan, second by Kim. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Kim, Voss.
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Semple.
Yes.
Now we have
Now we're-
recessed into the public
now we're
hearing,
off.
and you
We're
can,
official? All right, thank you.
now you're official.
Thank you very much.
No, we have to
No.
call it to
We
order.
have to
I'm
call
going
the
to call the
order.
roll and see who's
All right,
here.
so we're going to call the public hearing to order. Clerk, no, we need a motion to,
A motion.
motion to open the public hearing? Motion to open the public hearing?
We'll make that motion.
Motion by Sullivan, second by Kim. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Sullivan,
Here.
Kim. Yes. Voss.
Here, yes. No.
Are we doing here? Yes?
Here.
Yes.
Yes.
Here.
No, you're
No,
doing
this is not
yes.
Oh, it's a
No?
yes.
This is
You're
not
doing
attendance
yes.
yet. This is
Yes. Sorry.
Attendance comes
Yes.
next.
Sullivan, Kim, Voss, Semple,
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Okay. Now we
have
need
roll.
attendance.
Abernathy,
Present.
Kim. Meyer,
Here.
Semple,
Here.
Sullivan.
Here.
Voss.
Here.
Now
Okay.
you're official.
So now we're officially in the appropriation ordinance hearing. The machinations of getting into the hearing are almost as, how should I say, superficial as the actual dollar amount of the appropriations. As I was saying before we were brought into the correct presence of this hearing, $84 million is far more than the village would ever expect to spend. It is far more than we have budgeted, and yet we are required to pass this ordinance in regard to a limit, an actual statutory limit that we could spend. There is another method that would avoid this, and it's called the budget officer method of spending governance. And I often wondered why we don't do that, but nevertheless, we have an appropriation method of designated, a limit to spending. So at this time, since this is a public hearing, if there is anyone who wishes to address the board, to make a statement or ask a question, they should come up forward, and we'd be happy to entertain those statements or questions. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board in regard to this appropriation ordinance? Mayor, I don't think there is anyone. It's not a surprise. Therefore, I would move that we close this hearing unless the board, any members of the board have a question or concern.
Motion by Sullivan to adjourn. Second by Kim. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Kim, Boss,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Abernathy, Semple.
Yes.
Now we need a motion to reconvene the village board meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Voss.
Second.
Second by Meyer. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Boss,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Semple,
Yes.
Kim, Sullivan.
Yes.
Village board meeting is reconvened. Now we need to take attendance.
Abernathy,
Present.
Kim. Sullivan,
Here.
Boss,
Here.
Semple,
Still here.
Meyer.
Here.
Very good. And we're back. Sorry for that little hiccup. And we are on to the mayor's report. Just a reminder that Community Days is coming up. You can check the calendar on the village website. If you're on our email list, you could look there, as well as the printed newsletter we send out. And I'd encourage everyone, if you're not on the email list, go to our website and sign up for that, because there's some good emails that go out and good information that we put out there through the email newsletters. Okay, on the mayor's report, we have item A. This is commission appointments. Number one would be the Human Relations Commission Chairman, John Raymer. This is Exhibit 5. I didn't need a motion to approve John Raymer as Chairman of the Human Relations
I'll make that motion. Mr.
Commission.
Second.
Motion by Sullivan, second by Semple. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Semple,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Abernathy,
Yes.
Kim, Boss.
Yes.
Very good. John Raymer's in the audience. John, you want to raise your hand there? There he is. Congratulations. Very good. Thank you for your service and volunteering. We greatly appreciate it. Next is Carol Smith for the Human Relations Commission, appointing her there. This is Exhibit 6. I need a motion to approve Carol Smith as a new appointment for the Human Relations Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Voss, second by Kim. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Boss,
Yes.
Kim, Semple,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Okay. Mrs. Smith, you're here. You want to come on up and get sworn in? Yeah, right here.
I, Carol Smith, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the Office of Human Relations Commission Member according to the best of my ability. Congratulations.
All right, thank you. Next, we come to the Commission Board reappointments. This is Exhibit 7, and there's a list of individuals here, and I know there's going to be some discussion, but first I want to get a motion to approve the Mayor's Commission appointments as indicated on the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Semple,
Second.
second by Sullivan. Discussion.
Mr. Mayor.
Trustee Voss.
Thank you. We've had a lot of discussion about these appointments, not about so much the people being appointed, but the process that this board and the mayor use, how people are appointed, how they should be reappointed, how we're going to do a better job of communicating with them, of understanding the job that each each commission member does, having input from the commission chairman, and we've also discussed term limits. And in an effort not to beat a dead horse, I'm just going to say that I'm not going to support any reappointment of someone who has already served 12 years. So since I believe we're voting en masse for these people, I'll be a no, because there are several reappointments that have already served 12 years. When I was elected in 2011, I said that this would be my last term, and it shall be, because I believe in term limits. So it's not like I'm saying something for them that I don't think is good enough for me. I'm doing it to myself. I believe in term limits. So therefore, I think that we have plenty of people in a community of this size that have ability, not that they haven't been great, not that we don't appreciate them. I think it's important that, just like on this board that we have new blood, I think it's important that our commissions have that too, and that therefore that turnover is a good thing, and that we have plenty of qualified and quality people who are just waiting for the opportunity to volunteer.
Anyone else?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Trustee Meyer.
Since we did have a lot of discussion on it and discussed many different possibilities, could you summarize where we ended up and what the process is going to be going forward, and the new website page and some of those things? Could you identify to everyone where we did end up?
Yeah, we discussed in our committee of the whole meeting some concerns and then some procedures to take in the future. And of greatest note would be that those who, moving forward, beginning next year, we would have those who are going to be reappointed by April 30th. That's the date that officially reappointments need to be made. But we would have all reappointments, individuals to be reappointed that are interested in being reappointed, we would want them to reapply, just like we have to get reelected, have to go through the whole thing all over again. We would want those whose term is done to reapply, just go on the online, fill out the form, send it in, and go through the process. At the same time, in January and February, we're going to, have our web page. If on the website you go to Government, click on Boards and Commissions, we're going to expand that page to include a lot more information in terms of the individuals that are on each commission, what each commission does in detail, the dates that those individuals were commissioned, and then when their current term expires, and then they would be up for reappointment. And we're going to kind of just promote a little bit more the commissions for January and February, so that at the beginning of March we could begin doing interviews, and and those that have served for a long time, we'll check in with the chairman about their attendance and all that, but we'll make more of a promotion of the commission openings coming up during those 2 months. And so that's the major change that is over and above, because right now we don't require reapplications for the reappointments. So we have some web work to do, and that'll get all rolled out in January. Yes. Trustee Abernathy.
I'm sorry I wasn't here last week, so I'm going to ask, and I know we've discussed this, because like Trustee Voss, I am interested in term limits. I don't think it's something that we can impose on this group coming in, but it is something that we will revisit, correct? We did, I had
Yes.
asked that we would revisit term limits.
I think there's clearly enough interest that between now and January, we need to revisit this, discuss it, And if we're going to roll out term limits, it needs to apply to the group that would be reapplying for the April recommissioning, the next year's recommissioning. But certainly, and I think I suggested the fall.
Yeah, I think you had said October because that was going to be my next question. Because in conversations with a variety of residents, there has been a strong feel for term limits in a lot of the people that I have talked to. And so I would like to continue that discussion with more residents and that, but you had indicated October, and so if we could
Okay.
firmly put something on the schedule for then, that would be appreciated.
Yes. And would you folks want to have another committee of the whole meeting to address that?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. We'll put that on the agenda for a committee of the whole meeting in October.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Semple,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Boss,
No.
Kim. Yes. Meyer,
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next, moving on to Exhibit 8. This is item C. I need a motion to pass an ordinance establishing the Village of Mundelein Village Hall Study Committee.
So moved.
Motion by Semple,
Second.
second by Meyer. Okay, I'll kick off the discussion here. What this is a committee we're going to set up to come up with, to study the current Village Hall, the old Village Hall. And we're being asked about it more and more now that the new one has opened just today. And we want to really make sure that the public has as much input as possible into what we're going to do with the old Village Hall. So we're going to have a committee made up of several different individuals, and Trustee Meyer has graciously volunteered to chair this committee. But we'll have a variety of different professionals on there, village staff liaison, to really, put the brain cells to use to figure out what to do. And first we have to, before we know the questions to ask the public, we need to kind of evaluate where we're at. And so we're going to study it, and then we'll go to the public with some surveys, website, newsletters, stay tuned, etc. And then the committee will bring some recommendations to the board as to what to do with the old Village Hall. And so that's what this ordinance does. Now, there is a little correction we need to make in that the actual ordinance says that the chair is the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee Chair, and really it's going to be Trustee Meyer who volunteered to do that. So we'll make that little correction. But any other comments or questions or?
Mr. Mayor, I have
Yes.
a question. Would it be possible if we could get a resident perhaps who is disabled to be on the commission? Because there are challenges, which is one of the reasons we moved out of the building, is it is not handicap accessible. So perhaps we have a resident in Mundelein who, is bound to a wheelchair or whatever, who would be willing to help out on the committee and give a perspective that none of us have. Because I think if it's going to remain a public building, it should be accessible to anybody who wants to go in there. And I don't think that's asking too much.
I think that's a great idea. I think we can add that as an individual on the list of people. And just we need the language. Would it be just simply a Mundelein resident who is disabled, or how would, what would we?
I don't know how to word it.
Phrase that,
I
but-
turned to Charlie, but you know what I'm looking for.
But we can pass this right today. Okay, very good. I would be okay with that. Everyone else okay with that?
Now, Mr. Mayor, thank you. There is an agency in Mundelein that represents those with disabilities, and perhaps one of the members of that agency might be an effective member to represent handicapped individuals who need access to public buildings. And I have long thought about what to do with the Village Hall, having crawled up and down its stairs and in and out of its little cubby holes and doorways for the last 50 years. I don't see a lot of possibilities in regard to that building serving a useful public purpose. I've envisioned having the art department or perhaps a community college create a model of the village hall and create a bit of a display in the new village hall with that statement, rooted in our past, reaching for our future. Perhaps the old seal of the village along with it, as a constant reminder of where we have been and now being under the roof of where we are as a village. Just a thought as we begin to examine the possibilities in regard to that building. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Semple,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Boss,
Yes.
Kim, Abernathy.
Yes.
Okay, great. Motion carries. Trustee Meyer, thank you for stepping up and doing that.
You're welcome.
Next, Exhibit 9 is a proclamation. You can read it in the packet and online. It's the July 2014 Fireworks Safety Month. You know, obviously there's no better month in the year to have a fireworks safety month. And if you think about it, it's just common sense. And I think, you know, some of us grew up in an era, I did, and also a place where fireworks were very legal and very available and legal. And you always read about some goofy accident, and it was almost related to just simply not exercising common sense. If you have a bag of fireworks, you don't put them down right next to the barbecue, that kind of stuff. And it just is common sense like that that keeps us safe. So that's Fireworks Safety Month, and also a proclamation that the June 22nd to 28th Lightning Safety Week. Lightning Safety Week. And there's this week, this year there's a phrase that they're using. Real simple, keep it in mind. When thunder roars, go indoors. When thunder roars, go indoors. And if anyone's been involved in youth sports at all, if you do it for any length of time, you're going to have a practice where it's getting rained out and there's thunder, and you always kind of go, boy, I thought I heard thunder, but you have to really keep practicing. No, I didn't hear. Yeah, I did. And then, you know, if you hear thunder at all, you got to go indoors. So when thunder roars, go indoors. I love that phrase, and it encapsulates this proclamation, you know, just nicely. Okay, that takes us to trustee reports. Public Works Committee, Trustee Meyer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There are two items. The first one would be Public Works Space Needs Analysis, and that would be Exhibit Public Works-1. Adam, did you want to, Mr. Boucher, did you want to say anything related to this?
Well, hopefully you were able to review the report that was provided, and at this point I'd open up for questions. If it's not very legible, I have a 24 by 36 that I can set up if you weren't really able to see the full scale of that drawing. But there are some interesting exhibits. I only brought the main one today, but there are some interesting exhibits in there. If you notice, one of them in particular that caught our eye was something we didn't even ask the architect to do, which was overlay the planned facility on the existing Public Works facility location and show you what that would look like if we were trying to puzzle piece that into our current location. And it would simply be impractical. We would not have any ability to drive a vehicle on the site. It would be almost entirely covered by the building itself. So we are in need of considerable more space, and that's what this report does provide us with, and it breaks out the cost accordingly. What we also asked the architect to do was to give us some comparables, because we wanted some real-world application of this. We didn't want just some pie-in-the-sky numbers, and that's what he did. He provided us with one of the higher-end facilities that they did in Lake Forest with some LEED certification, and one of the more basic facilities that they constructed, which was in Carpentersville. And ours shook out to be exactly what we expected it to be, which was somewhere right in between the two of those. So the report told us what we were hoping it would tell us. One, that the site that we were looking at on Allenson Road is feasible to be able to construct this facility. And two, the cost would be roughly right in the middle of where we'd expect it to be as well.
Thank you. Anybody else have any other comments or questions about the report that they want to bring up?
What's our intention? I feel a little like a dad. What's your intentions towards? So, what are this came with a $15 million price tag, which holy shnikes. What is it that we think that we're going to do with this report? Is this just something to have on hand in case a developer decides they want to give us money?
Yeah, well, that'd be nice. I think we just wanted to, one, validate that the property is doable. We like the location, and now we have it validated that it is acceptable location, the site conditions. There are wetlands on that property that we can still utilize it for our public work facility. But then we also wanted to be a little bit ahead of the game should some further development occur downtown. We wanted to be in a position that we kind of knew a direction that we were going. And so that's what this does. I've said it before, and it's just a guess, but I would think we're in that 5 to 10 year range for a project like this. So, but things change, so we're just ready. We want to be ready and not be thinking about this if there was a development downtown that would utilize the existing public works facility. We want to be ready to go. So,
Anything else? Alrighty, then that brings me to the second item, the Butterfield Road Sanitary Sewer Project. And there are some nuances and different aspects to that project that Mr. Boucher, I don't know if you want to speak to that at all, say anything in that?
Well, without getting into too much detail, there are 4 alternatives that the consultant has provided us with. There's a considerable more amount of utilities than we were anticipating in that right-of-way. So it will force that project, in our eyes, to move into the easement and land acquisition possibilities. And that would, of course, come with an added cost to the project. So we wanted to make the board aware of what our design has encountered and have you kind of take a look at it and reevaluate and reassess and see if you want us to continue moving forward, because it's considerably more money than we have budgeted for this project. And it's also involving the county board, as they're going to have to provide us with acceptance of these easements, because this will ultimately be their sewer that we will be constructing.
And so are you looking for direction from us on some of those?
Well, if you'd like us to continue move forward with design and ultimately go to bid with this project, because we would anticipate the bids to come in at a higher cost than what our budget currently affords.
is there one alternative over another, Adam, that you guys are looking at?
Yes, the memorandum we provided with details that alternative 3 would be our preferred option, which would force easements onto each of the properties that it impacts. Originally, when we looked at this project, we weren't anticipating the need for easements, but when we start to do design, as often occurs, you encounter some unforeseen issues in the field. And in this case, there was a major amount of utilities in the Butterfield right-of-way that we didn't anticipate.
And the utilities have asked that we not use option 3. So can you explain why you think option...
I'm sorry, option 4.
Thank you.
Thank you, because that was also good.
Yeah, option 3 would have been the preferred method, but there's a considerable amount of cost for utility relocates to do it in that way, which would be far and away exceed the cost to get the easements necessary.
Okay, so we're looking at option 4, and are you looking for us to provide direction then on continuing with that option?
Yes.
So, this project came about because property owners over there specifically requested this. Have we talked to those property owners to see? Okay, so you're shaking
No,
your head
we have
no?
not.
So my first thing is, I think we should have learned our lesson from Archer parking lot. And I think before we make a decision about this, because my understanding was that these fees would be recaptured through some special service assessment or
Yeah.
something.
Mhm.
So I would like to talk to those business owners and make sure that they understand the amount of money that we're talking about and that they still want to proceed, since it was their request that we, continue to pursue this. I'm happy to make those contacts.
Well, we can certainly do that. I mean, we're getting pretty good at the land acquisition calls these days.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm sure that we haven't progressed on, and that is 100% of the cost of the project going to be borne by the property owners? Is there some other public benefit that the board wants to consider writing down, for the lack of a better word? And maybe there's a 20% public benefit to the installation of the sewer, and therefore 80% of the cost is passed on to the property owners. I mean, we haven't had that discussion with the board because the recapture agreement was going to come later. But now that we're kind of in this position to maybe speak to the property owners, if we convey information to them, it will be at 100% of the cost. Kind of the worst case scenario at this point. Because I'd hesitate to throw out any other number, and at this point it would be an estimate, because as you know, not only can there be changes during the design, but there can also be changes when you get into the field, and the actual cost of construction could be higher. These are all engineers' estimates. So when we go and talk to the owners, we're going to be very clear that it's really a little bit more than a wild guess. It's a little bit of an educated guess, but they're not going to be exact figures.
And and all of the property owners were on board with these are the improvements that they are looking for.
Oh, I don't think they're aware of it at all.
Okay.
I mean, other than the ones that may have contacted the board,
Okay.
some of the board.
Some of them are aware of these, though not necessarily aware of the costs. I would say at least half of the property owners are.
Yeah,
Well, and I remember when they came before us and having some of these discussions, but I was also, looking at, is everybody aware of it, especially if the costs are going to be borne by them?
Right.
And is there any benefit to the village of doing this project? What would there be any motivation from us on this project of would we be doing it without that request?
I don't think so. I think this came up at our last year's strategic planning meeting, and it was just simply the board's request to put this in the budget for this year, and so we're just moving forward with that.
Sorry. I was just wondering if I have a question. There's a line in here that kind of confuses me. So even going with alternate 4, we still would need county board approval?
Yes,
This would
because
still be an extension of the county board?
it'd be an extension of their sanitary sewer system on Butterfield Road.
Then why aren't the residents going to the county and asking them to do this?
Well, there are business owners, Mundelein, they're incorporated in the village of Mundelein, and there's been some conversations with those property owners for extending the sanitary sewer.
It's also not unprecedented because that manhole we'd be connecting to at the strip mall there, which is a Lake County Public Works manhole, is where that strip mall is tied into and receives service from them there.
Okay.
So it's just an extension
Yeah.
of that theory or that concept.
Okay. Sorry, I just kind of got that when it said that we got to go to the county. I'm like, well, why are we even? Okay.
So, I'm sorry. if I go back several years, there was a proposal by someone, a business, that wanted to open up, they called it a recycling center, recycling, do you remember this
Yeah, scrap
material?
metal.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I think that as part of that discussion, we discussed that this property on our eastern border is limited in terms of redevelopment because of lack of sewer. And that sort of started some thought, and maybe it started thought among the property owners, how will they be able to at some point sell or expand or whatever? They're gonna need sewer. It will make their property more easier to be developed, which yes, adds some benefit to them without a doubt, but I would argue also adds some benefit to the village because it increases our options of the use of that facility and not just for, mostly being used for material yards.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that having access to public utilities will spur on development and certainly makes property more valuable. With availability to public services, the property is probably going to develop sooner and maybe in a more appropriate way that's consistent with our comprehensive plan than it would otherwise on well and septic, if you will. I think we're just simply here tonight just to let everybody know the price tag's going up. I want to make sure the board's okay with it. And we'll move forward and we'll also reach out to the property owners when we get a little bit more information. We picked a path now, and so we can touch base with them and make them aware of the project and what we estimate the cost to be at this time, all subject to change, and just move forward with it.
Yeah, I would also support talking to the property owners in that. All right, so anything else on that discussion? I don't have any motions for tonight, so that would be all I have for Public Works.
Okay, thank you. Next, yes, trustee Semple, yep.
Sorry to bring this up, I know you had a busy weekend. How did you do with rainfall totals and number of trees knocked down?
We're still fielding calls. It was pretty light this morning. We only got about 3 or 4 calls about downed limbs. No major trees. We haven't heard of any major trees on private property. Very little.
Our few of us live in the same subdivision, and there was a giant willow, probably 100-year-old willow tree that came down by the little start. Just there's another tree that got ripped in half. I was just wondering if others knocked it down.
It was pretty isolated.
Lucky us.
Um,
It didn't take down any ash trees.
well, unfortunately, no. It didn't save us any money there. So.
Okay, next up,
Mayor,
Finance
Mr. Mayor, Committee, Finance-
trustee Sullivan.
Yeah, I just let's bring another one on our Director of Engineering and Public Works. I've forgotten, and I won't blame you if you don't have the number, but this space analysis lists approximately 114,000 square feet of space for everything from salt storage to your office, I'm presuming. What do we have now in regard to total space? Any idea?
I don't know. We're very scattered. We got
yeah.
all those random garages, so I'd have to take a look and total those up.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we're on to the Finance Committee, trustee Sullivan.
This evening, we have 2 motions. The first is a motion to pass the annual appropriation ordinance for the fiscal year ending April 30th, 2015. That's the document that we held a public hearing in regard to at the start of the meeting, and I'll make the motion to approve the annual appropriation ordinance.
Motion by Sullivan,
Second.
second by Meyer. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Voss,
Yes.
Abernathy,
Yes.
Semple,
Yes.
Kim.
Motion carries.
Second motion is one to pay AT&T an amount of $5,381.16. These are for various telephone bills. I believe we'll have an abstention, so we have removed this from the omnibus bill list. And I'll make the motion to make this payment.
Motion by Sullivan,
Second.
second by Abernathy. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Abernathy,
Yes.
Kim, Meyer,
Abstain.
Semple,
Yes.
Boss.
Yes.
Motion carries.
This evening on our omnibus list of motions, we have one to pay a number of bills totaling $1,565,124. Some of the major components of that list are 3 bills to Chicagoland Paving for our summer road reconstruction work. The sum of these 3 bills is $612,414. We have a bill to H.R. Green, this for the engineering of the CV waterway improvement. This amounts to $45,029. And lastly, an amount to Weston Solutions, this for the construction of the village hall. This is certainly a partial payment. It amounts to $560,764. And unless anyone has a question or comment regarding finance, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next up's Public Safety Committee, Trustee Semple.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. After I make the motion and we get a second, we're going to have our police chief walk through what we're doing here and the fact that this is actually Phase A of a 2-phase request that'll be coming before the board later on this summer. So with that in mind, I'll make the motion to adopt a resolution to waive the formal bid process and to authorize the purchase and payment of the en route CAD system hosted by Lake County Emergency Telephone Service Board for $35,518.08, seen as Exhibit Public Safety-1 in your board packets this evening.
Second.
Motion by Semple, second by Meyer.
Chief?
So as trustee said, this is a 2-part request. The second part of this request, which would be the records management system that's briefly mentioned in the document that you should have received, will be coming in the next few months, 3 to 6 months. We're kind of waiting on some other surrounding municipalities to make some decisions on where they're going and what they're looking at, as we also are looking at some varying vendors to determine what they have available. In total, that request will be in the area of $60,000 to $65,000, and that handles the records management portion, which essentially the CAD portion is when the dispatcher takes an emergency call and types in that information. This CAD program is what pushes it out to the squad cars and gives that information to the officers, including names, phone numbers, locations of the call itself, and then basic information. The RMS, record management part of it, which is the second phase, is when the officer constructs his report, then that is sent into the records management system, becomes the permanent document which is maintained within the police department as a record for that call for service. So it's a 2-part system that works together. The reason that we're doing this, as you can see in the document, is really threefold. The maintenance costs for our current vendor have become costly. At $65,000 is anticipated this year, and it continues to rise each year. They have notified us that there will be an end of life in 2017, which would require an approximately $250,000 upgrade to the current system that we have now. And 3, they have become difficult to deal with in terms of moving forward with technology. There's things on the horizons that we need to be looking at, such as electronic crash reporting and electronic citation issuing. And we're not able to do that without, again, significant costs being pushed onto us to create that ability. This option will, in the total Phase 1 and Phase 2 cost of approximately $100,000 to $110,000, will be repaid within 3 years, simply by the fact that the maintenance costs are half of what I'm currently paying with our current system. And so we would recoup those costs within a 3-year time and then begin to save money moving forward. This system, the CAD portion, has been in play for over 20 years and is currently shared by 28 different fire and police districts throughout the western border of our county. That improves our interoperability with those agencies, allows us to exchange information and see what's happening in a real-time format. And that's what the CAD purchase is.
Discussion or questions? Anybody? All right. Thank you for that description and explanation. Okay, clerk, please call the roll.
Semple?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Kim? Abernathy?
Yes.
Boss?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Motion carries.
Now, Chief, while we're still on the police department, I know you had your department had a busy weekend this weekend as well. Everything from the bike rodeo held yesterday to evacuating a couple of pretty sizable events that were taking place. Do you want to go over some of these unusual activities that your department was involved with this weekend?
Well, I'll say that we had the Walk for Life, which unfortunately was canceled due to weather. We had to be temporarily housed within the school until things passed. We also had a large gathering at one of the area parks with over 100 people that had to be removed due to the weather at that time. Will be at the seminary this year at their large lake. They've agreed to let us utilize that. It's a very nice location, and we're going to try it out and see how it works. I think it'll be a nice change and look at things.
It's my birthday. I'm going to have to do that one this
There
year.
you go. There you go. It'll be it's been stocked again by the DNR and or will be, I should say, shortly before the event.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Chief Sashko, floor is yours. Do you have any announcements or anything you want to go through?
Just a couple of brief things. Just as a reminder, July 3rd, we'll have our summer blood drive here from noon until 7, so we're encouraging everybody to come out for that. We already have, I think, close to 40 appointments, so that's great to see the community come out and support really a difficult time of the year as far as blood donations. A little side note to that, and I don't know if I mentioned it at the last meeting, but in May alone, LifeSource suffered a loss of over 3,000 units of donations compared to the previous years, which really put a huge impact on the Chicago market as far as not only scheduled surgeries, but emergency surgeries. So the more we can do as a community, and we've done really great in this last year, we've had over 575 units donated through our drives, the better off we'll all be. Just as a note for the board, on July 19th, the morning of July 19th, Battalion Chief McKinley will retire, and we'll have our traditional walkout ceremony. So if you want to mark that for your calendars, and there'll be invites coming out on that pretty soon. And on the heels of the proclamation for fireworks, just as a reminder, because they're very available on the internet, but not for purchase in retail in Illinois, sky lanterns. They're the lanterns that are fueled by small candles, very popular for weddings and special events, are illegal in the state of Illinois, as determined by the Office of the State Fire Marshal. So it's another, really neat novelty that I know Groupon has them all the time available, and they can be very dangerous. They can carry for miles. They've been known to cause fires. They've even known to be involved with interference with small aircraft, depending on how high these things get. So it's just something that, you can Google sky lanterns and see it, but they are illegal in the state of Illinois and should not be purchased over the internet. That's it. Thank you, sir.
Wait a minute, Chief. What about you got an update on our ladder truck?
Oh, the ladder truck, the contract has been executed. The dealership is working on all of the maintenance items we needed to have done before delivery. It'll be flatbedded here through a special delivery service. We do not want to drive it back here. Probably maybe the end of this week or in the beginning of next week sometime. So we should see delivery shortly. And we've already had the old ladder truck, which is now back from the engine work. That is done. We've got brokers looking at that and providing us with pricing on that. So we'll have more information for the board in the very near future.
We're going to see the new one in the parade?
Maybe.
Maybe. And pancake breakfast you've got coming up.
And pancake breakfast is the Sunday morning, July 6th. Same location in the park. And we are featuring an additional item of bacon this year.
Ooh.
Yeah, sausage and bacon.
Got a lot going
All you
on
can eat. How about it?
now in the next meeting, Chief. Thank you very much.
You know what? It's all the excitement I can give you right now.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. That's all for public safety.
Okay, thank you. Next up, Community and Economic Development Committee, Trustee Voss.
Thank you. Before I get onto these motions, I just have a few announcements. As Chief Gunther said, Relay for Life was rained out, blown out, pretty much just soaked. So while we're not going to walk all night, again, we are going to have some type of closing ceremonies, lighting of the luminaria for anyone who purchased one, our silent auction items. We, at a date yet to be determined, I did suggest that the new circle around, in front of Village Hall, kind of reminiscent of a track, would be a lovely place for the luminaria ceremony. So I'll keep you all posted on that. Also, before our next meeting, we will have Mundelein Community Days. Excuse me. As a reminder, those events start Thursday the 4th? No, the 3rd. Start Thursday the 3rd and run through Sunday the 6th. And my little plug for the pet parade, for any of you, it's a great family event starting at 9 a.m. on Saturday the 5th at the north end of Cracklauer Park at the Park District building. And still hoping to get, a cow. We haven't had a cow. We've had a pig. We've had a turkey. We've had horses. So any and all are welcome. Snakes, birds, whatever. Dogs, cats. Really brave cats. And if I could just go back for a minute to the parking issue that was brought up earlier this evening from Archer. I'm a bigger person, so I'm not going to say I told you so when we had the last board meeting, that perhaps when I said we should talk to our residents before we make this kind of change. I would just hope that in our continuing efforts for transparency and discussions with our residents, that we just try a little bit harder and keep this in mind. So with that said, moving forward, we have several items on the agenda regarding some items that were taken up earlier by the Planning and Zoning Commission. So regarding 101 to 161 North Seymour Avenue. Rezoning is seen as Exhibit CEDC-1. So the first one I'll make is a motion to accept the Planning and Zoning Commission's minutes and findings of fact.
Second.
Motion by Voss, second by Abernathy.
And if I could if anyone has any questions, otherwise it was explained pretty well in our packet. We had rezoned these properties, and while that might be an effective thing down the road for the use that currently is, we're making this change to make it easier for the property owner to rent out what would otherwise be vacant parcels. However, and while I'm all in favor of doing that, I'm a little concerned about the condition of the property. And I'm just going to throw out there, though it's not necessary, it's certainly not under this particular motion, but just to get you thinking, because we're going to come back to it in a second, that perhaps as conditional, we should require the building owner to do something about the big divots in the gravel parking lot. So, but we'll get to that a little bit further down the road.
Okay, further discussion on the motion to accept Planning and Zoning Commission's minutes and findings of fact. Clerk, please call the roll.
Voss.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Kim. Sullivan. Semple.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, motion to accept the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendations.
Second?
Motion by Voss, second by Trustee
Meyer.
Meyer. Discussion? Okay, clerk, please call the roll.
Voss.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Semple.
Yes.
Sullivan. Kim. Abernathy.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Sorry, I lost my little spot
Well,
here.
now we
So
need to-
next one is supposed to be a motion. We're gonna have Charlie read this next one because we have a little bit wrong in the wording on this
The
agenda.
wording on C and D, I think was from a draft ordinance that staff had prepared and that I had reviewed. But attached to your packet are the ordinances that I did review, and I had revised the titles to them. So, with your permission, I'll read the first one. And so it should, C should read, motion to pass an ordinance amending the 2011 comprehensive plan to change the recommended land use of the property located at 101-161 North Seymour Avenue, Mundelein, Illinois, from multifamily residential to downtown mixed use. That would be that would be C. That would be the first.
Okay,
So I'll make that motion.
motion by Voss,
Second.
second by Abernathy. Discussion?
Well, so at this point, should we bring up the,
Well, you could bring it up now because the next motion will be an ordinance rezoning the property from C5R downtown residential to C5MU downtown mixed use. So you could bring it up now, or you could wait until the next motion, which actually rezones the property.
okay, well, so let's talk about it now, and we can put it wherever we think it should go. It seems like the property owner has added some additional gravel in the past year, but there are still huge divots and swimming pools, if you will, when it rains. And it seems that now might be a good time, since we're granting this property, we're making it easier for this property owner to keep their property occupied, that now would be a good time to also insist that they do a better job of keeping up their property. And in doing so, require them to mediate their parking lot.
Just so we understand, you said are you talking about the gravel part to the east, on the eastern part? Where are you?
The part between Lavinia and Morrison's Laundry, right?
The parking, well, we're going to go with east of the building,
Okay.
north and
Okay.
east of the building. It's a little.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay.
Have you been there? Okay.
Initially about it, I thought you meant the actual asphalt parking lot.
Well, that would be lovely, but I'm not.
Just talking about the gravel portion.
Well, I mean, if in a perfect world, their parking lot should not be a hazard to the cars in it. But and so on the north side of the building, that parking lot could probably use a little work. But specifically, I'm talking about the gravel part that seems to want to swallow up cars no matter how much, no matter what we're doing.
East of the building.
Yes, east of the building. And so I'm wondering if there's any interest on the board's part to require them to add gravel, to level it, to asphalt it, to something it.
Is this something they could actually apply for the grant to help them do that? No, it's not. Okay. Just hoping. I was kind of hoping on that one. It is. Okay.
Is it,
I'm sorry, just one more thing though. I'm assuming the gravel to the east is all their property? Am I assuming right or wrong?
No, you're assuming right. The gravel to the east of their property is theirs. Belongs to the property owner.
Yeah, Trustee Sullivan.
I would agree that that section of the property is in need of work. I would hesitate to suggest that they be ordered or this ordinance be contingent upon repaving it. But certainly there are some less expensive things like a load of crushed limestone and somebody come in and level it out, as you say, because it is a difficult area to drive through. I suspect that the owner would be perfectly willing to do that just at the suggestion.
Let me ask, is anyone here in the audience? Sir, do you want to come up and perhaps contribute to this? That'd be great. Just give your name to the clerk and address, please.
Good evening. My name is Joe Morrison. I'm an attorney at Morrison and 32 Northwest Street in Waukegan. I represent the owners, Michael and Sarah Zimmerman. They apologize that they couldn't be here tonight personally. They were present for the Plan Commission hearing. They intended to be here tonight, but they had a family medical emergency come up, and so they could not be here, so they asked me to attend. And as far as the maintenance items go, I'm sure that my clients will, you know, I'm sure that they will try to do what's right in terms of the parking lot. I'm sure that that's true.
So we would need to define what that looks like.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
We would need to define what that looks like, and as long as they are amenable to doing what's right, then it seems like they wouldn't object to it being added in, that they need to get this done.
if you're utilizing the trying to park to utilize some of those businesses in order to get out of that one-way parking, you have to go through this gravel lot. And also as a frequent traveler, it is really bad news. And I really would like to see that done for everybody that uses that, but I also don't want to see the business owners held up as part of that process. I want to see it done, but I don't want to see those business owners or future business owners looking at that area not being able to move forward because of that contingency.
Fair enough.
Yes, and I don't know that legally you can condition a rezoning on doing X, Y, and Z, but I will assure the board that I will take your concerns back to my clients, and my clients will repair that parking area and that gravel area.
I honestly couldn't tell that there was stuff added. When you said that, I was surprised.
When I was there Sunday morning, thank you, Claude, for donating croissant for the Relay for Life that ended up going to the bike rodeo. It seemed like there were fewer places that I could lose a car tire, so I thought that they might have added gravel.
I parked on the road this weekend when I was there.
It could have been with all the rain that we've had, some of the gravel got resituated, but if you could please make sure that your clients understand that the board is cognizant of this area and we see it's really a deficit and they need to address it.
I understand what you're saying, and I will relay that message to my clients.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on C? Clerk, please call the roll.
Voss.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Semple.
Yes.
Kim. Meyer.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Charlie?
Okay, then,
Yes.
I'll read D. It's a motion to pass an ordinance rezoning the property located at 101-161 North Seymour Avenue, Mundelein, Illinois, from C-5-R downtown residential MU downtown mixed use.
And I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Voss, second by Meyer. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Voss.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Semple.
Yes.
Kim.
Very good. Motion carries.
I don't have any new businesses to report tonight. Not that I'm sure that we haven't had any, but it is possible that perhaps our building commissioner has just been a little bit otherwise occupied getting us all moved into the village hall. And might I add that he has done a fabulous job. Please accept our gratitude to you and also to your staff. Amazing. And actually to all the staff in the village, but we know that you guys did the lion's share of it, so thank you.
Thank you very much.
And that is all.
Okay. Next up, Communication and Marketing Committee. Trustee Kim?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no motions tonight, but just a quick announcement. On June 26th, we have our broker developer meeting, and I believe that's a breakfast, right? Yeah. And the direct mail piece went out to about 700 contacts within the town, and these are developers that can invest.
Brokers.
Brokers and brokers.
Both
Yep.
of them, okay. And the e-blast, 2 different versions went out. And they're basically going to go over the marketing message, which is focused on the downtown redevelopment initiative. So, thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Next up, Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. Trustee Abernathy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I just have one item tonight on the agenda. I have a motion to authorize the Department of Public Works and Engineering to solicit bids for the Route 60 water main replacement project.
Motion by Abernathy.
Second.
Second by Semple. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Semple.
Yes.
Kim.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Voss.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, and just letting you know, our street program is going. We're doing pretty well with that, Mr. Boucher?
Yes, we're about 50% complete with the main road program. Obviously, the emergency resurfacing program was completed about a month or so ago, and looking at the East Crystal repairs sometime later in July.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
That's all I have this evening.
Very good. Thank you. Next up, we have other reports. And let's see. I need a motion here to adopt a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign a real estate contract and to extend an offer to purchase the property at 498 North Seymour Avenue, Mundelein, Illinois. PIN number is 11-19-321-036 in an amount not to exceed $150,000. Exhibit OTR-1.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion by Semple, second by Voss. Discussion?
I think I can
Abernathy.
start this, Mr. Mayor. Okay. I think most people here understand my feelings on this. I do realize that parking is very important in the downtown area, seeing as though I was parking and got towed for trying to have breakfast one morning. So I do understand that parking is very important in the downtown area. This area, this parking lot that is being considered is a property that we're getting on a short sale, I understand. It's close to foreclosure. And I don't know that this is a correct use of taxpayer dollars. I think that there's other properties that are along Chicago Avenue that we could purchase that would benefit a broader area of parking. The other reason is this lot is not to remain a parking lot. And I don't know that a lot of people understand that in our downtown development plans, we have a area that's supposed to be developed. And I don't know that it's just, I don't know that it's our business to be buying it to sell to another developer. And some people think it's going to stay a parking lot. It's not meant to stay a parking lot, or at least by the downtown plans I've seen. So I think some people are under the guise that we're buying it to remain a parking lot. And that's not what it's supposed to be. So we're purchasing it because we think parking is important downtown, but that's not what that use is going to be. So I can't support this. I think if we want to purchase other property that we've discussed for parking, I am all for that. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Trustee Meyer.
ditto to what Trustee Abernathy said, and in addition, by the village purchasing this property, it overinflates the value of the other properties on the block, making it more difficult for developers to purchase and develop that entire piece. And so there's a possibility that if a developer can't purchase all the necessary land that they need at a reasonable price, that the village could get stuck with this property and still not have adequate parking because it's not that large of a lot. So I also don't support this.
Okay. Trustee Sullivan.
Well, we risk in allowing this property to go into a state of foreclosure, or perhaps into hands that are not as friendly as the present owner. We risk losing a lot of parking there. Certainly, I think you're right that this land is pegged for redevelopment and not a parking lot. That said, I think it is the job of city or municipal government to provide parking for its commercial establishments. And at least on an interim basis, the acquisition of this property allows us to ensure that we have adequate parking in that area. As far as inflating the cost of properties, this is $7.50 a square foot. It's a very reasonable amount. Actually, it's a significantly depreciated amount from what the property was worth a number of years ago.
That particular corner, that doesn't speak to the surrounding property on the block. Plus, if we purchase...
I support this, although I sympathize and I understand your concern, but I don't think we can afford to lose control of this property, at least on an interim basis, for parking in the downtown. And it is the job of this board to ensure that there is parking for our commercial establishments.
But it doesn't have to be that particular location. We need to ensure parking, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that location. And if it went into foreclosure, then we could probably purchase this property for even less money than what we're paying.
Okay, I think you're thinking along the railroad tracks of my grade school friend Donnie Garrison, my old neighbor from Libertyville, who sold that property for $450,000 about 8 or 9 years ago. Now they can't give it away, right? We could perhaps buy that property for somewhere close to what we're suggesting here. But do you know what it costs to pave it? I mean, we've got a parking lot here. There's no other parking lot or land that we could establish parking at anywhere near the cost. I mean,
but
got a
that's
parking
not to
lot for
remain a parking
1/3.
lot. That's not, in our
1/4
plan,
of what
it's
it would
not to
cost.
be a parking lot.
No, it's not going to be, but it's an interim solution to the duty of this board to provide downtown parking, in my view.
Okay,
Mr.
Trustee
Mayor?
Voss.
Do we have a time frame for this? We're going to make this offer.
Days, or it can be withdrawn. addition to that, there's a 10-day period for attorney's review, both the seller and buyer's attorney. And then there's an inspection period that runs in favor of the village until August 15th to determine whether or not, after conducting its due diligence, it wants to proceed. And then the closing date, if all of that occurs, the closing date would be September 1st.
So,
All of that is spelled out in the contract.
I was wondering if it was going to be available for Park on Park if we were successful in purchasing it, and so the answer then is really not.
Well, not unless whoever controls it right now approves it being used for Park on Park.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I could say a few lines.
Trustee Kim?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To add to what Trustee Abernathy and Meyer had said, first of all, I would like to point out the fact that Trustee Abernathy used to have a store right there. So if anyone understands stores needing parking, it's her, and she's voting no. I just kind of wanted to, a lot of it's already been said, but I just kind of wanted to point out the fact that if you look at our long-term plan, that area does have development there. There's a store with parking in the back, and if you look at the picture, there's actually communal parking. And so if parking was an issue, we could go down the road of what we're entertaining, which is to do communal parking like Libertyville or Great Lake has behind the buildings. That being said, I really think it had just more to do with control of the property to make sure, you know, it isn't just sat on, and that it does get developed, and that's pretty much the reason why the board wants to buy it. That being said, if we plan to be that middle person that holds on to it, usually in land acquisition, if you want to be the developer, it's buy low, sell high. And so when this first came to us, it was headed down the road to receivership, and we knew that. And so to me, it didn't make financial sound sense to buy it at the appraised price, which is like retail price, when we knew it was going down that road. And so I will also be voting no, but had the decision been to buy it at foreclosure, I would have voted yes.
Assuming that a foreclosure price is lower than what we're paying, that's a big assumption.
It's also cleaner in paperwork and less wait time.
No.
Trustee Sullivan?
Okay, now, understand what the foreclosure price would be. This would be a sale by the sheriff, sort of like an auction. And the lender will bid not only the principal owed him, but all of his costs. And that will be far, far greater. It might be double what $150,000 is. And now it's bank owned, and probably fenced off, a sign put up, no trespassing.
Right now?
No.
No, if it
No,
goes to auction.
No. If it goes into the hands of
So have they blocked off, the bank bought,
Of the
the
whoever's-
bank bought Washburn. They didn't block that off and fence it up and tell us no one can use it.
Well, we don't know what would happen.
Well,
Don't know.
I know.
And I don't want to take that chance,
Well,
right?
that's you.
Okay,
I think everyone's.
and I wasn't born yesterday. As you
Neither
can
was
all-
I.
As we all know.
As we,
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, once we get this deal done, can we ask whoever's in charge of the property if they will open it up and allow not only the use for Park on Park, but the continued use by the downtown merchants, and then even have our Public Works go over there and get rid of some of the overgrown weeds. It's already looking pretty sorry just after, basically nobody maintaining it just for this brief summer that we've been into already.
You mean that, assuming that this passes and we put in the offer formally?
And everything goes through.
To then go to
It's
the,
accepted,
Right.
And then in good faith,
Yes.
will they let us, hopefully, I would assume if we ask, they will let us, because that way Park on Park can reconfigure what they're doing, because they've reconfigured their whole Park on Park without the parking lot for this.
Well, I would think we can approach them and ask for sure. I would support
We can
that.
do that.
Yep.
That's great. Let's call the question then.
Okay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Semple,
Yes.
Voss,
Yes.
Kim, Abernathy,
No.
Meyer,
No.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Mayor votes yes. Motion carries, and we will approach the parties that control it about that, and hopefully, in good faith, that will be successful in that regard. Thank you. All right, scheduled business, omnibus vote items. I think this is the shortest omnibus vote item list I've ever seen. There's 2 items.
I think it is, yes.
Does any trustee wish to pull one, the other, or both of these items? No? Okay, do I have a motion to pass both items A and B?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Voss, second by Kim. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Voss,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Semple,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next up, village staff reports. First is the village administrator, Mr. Levato.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first item I have is on the printed agenda, and that was a motion to approve a ordinance for the Fifth Amendment to the original agreement. One of the things that we were looking for prior to the board taking action is to actually have the signed lease with the subtenant, and that didn't come in today. And so we're asking the board to make a motion to withdraw this from the board's agenda, and we'll bring it back for the board's consideration on July 14th.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Semple,
Second.
second by Meyer. Discussion?
Yeah.
Trustee Voss.
Didn't come in today because they need more time.
Yeah, the email I got today was that the individual in the law firm that was responsible for looking at the contract, looking at the lease, didn't get to that. And so it was a short email. They just hadn't had a chance to act on it.
And our next meeting is July,
14th.
and will they need an answer before then?
We will need an answer, yes, before July 14th. Well,
We'll need an answer from them. They understand that we won't vote on this then.
yes, yes, yes.
And they're good with waiting.
I'm not sure. I never had a direct conversation with them, but I left messages that that's what the board's action was going to be, or at least what I was requesting the board to do tonight was to not take action till July 14th, and if that was a problem, to give me a call. I didn't receive a call before 7 o'clock.
Because in the past, haven't they represented that they needed us to extend our lease with Holly Street Partners before they would sign it, their lease?
I don't recall, but the action that was on the agenda tonight affects all of that. It extends the leasing arrangement, but in a different way for Holly Partners. It approves the sublease between Holly Partners and KSN. So it, because of the way things went, we rolled, I would say, the Fourth Amendment into the Fifth, and restated everything in that Fifth Amendment.
To answer your question, they wanted us to do what was in the Fourth Amendment, which we did pass.
Right.
Okay, so
Right.
in that sense,
We're good.
Yes.
good with we should be
Okay.
good with KSN. Yes.
Okay, that's all I'm trying to find. Thank you.
Yeah, Trustee Sullivan.
Are we off of that subject?
I need a,
Yeah, we just
I
need to
just said
take
it.
the vote on this.
Hey.
Yeah, okay.
Anyone else?
We have a motion on the floor. That's
Yeah.
right. Thank you.
Just need to, anyone else? Okay, clerk, oh, trustee Kim. We're taking it off.
Voting to
Deferred.
take it off.
Voting to take it off.
Yes. Okay, clerk, please call the roll.
Semple,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Kim, Sullivan,
Yes.
Boss.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. That's been removed from the agenda.
I just had one more item. I think trustee Voss said it, that it was a busy weekend with the move into the new Village Hall. I think that was met with a lot of cheers from the employees that were in the old Village Hall. We don't have to worry about the rain coming through the windows or the roof leaking. So that's all good news. But I wanted to just say for the audience that our next meeting, and I'm going to say it publicly, is going to be at the new Village Hall on July 14th.
I'll live up to it now.
At 7 p.m. So that's what's on the printed agenda, and so that's what we're going to do, regardless of what obstacles we may come across. But our meeting will be at the new Village Hall. And I thought it was interesting, for the first time in 8 years, I had an all-employee meeting that was actually held in the building that we work in. And so that's never been able to be done before because you never had a space large enough to put 35 employees. So that was really kind of great today. So it's the small things. That's all I had, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right. Not
okay.
everybody.
Village Attorney, Mr. Marino?
Woohoo.
Village Clerk?
No report.
Other business?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I may have just a short period of time. There were 4 comments this evening in regard to Archer Avenue. And anyone not being aware of what has happened on Archer Avenue might be thinking that this is kind of a bad thing. Whereas before the village began to improve Archer Avenue, it's kind of a shameful looking street, and I felt sorry for the people living on it. Now it's been reconstructed. There's curb and gutter there. It's a beautiful street. And not only that, the entire area has been turned from a brownfield into the beginning of a modern, beautiful, urban downtown redevelopment. Now, my friend, Ms. Barden, and her neighbor have some concerns. And I'm very sure that staff has taken them into heart, and they're going to visit those concerns. It seems like the biggest issue, though, is this 2-hour limit on parking. Now I recall some residents of Archer Avenue coming in a number of years ago and expressing some concerns about people parking there for lengthy periods of time. They would park in the mud, they would create some problems for the neighborhood. And so I'm very sure our staff, who in my view has done an excellent job of planning not only Archer Avenue improvements, but the entire downtown improvement. But staff has put forth, I think the police department has put forth this limitation on parking in order to satisfy those concerns of the residents on Archer Avenue. Point of order. Would you make that point?
Yes, let's let trustee Sullivan speak. Thank you.
Right. Now, if there is a concern that residents need to park there, you certainly can be permitted. There is a mechanism for having people who live on Archer excused from a 2-hour limitation. So we'll get this worked out. And whatever concerns there are there, staff will address them. But let's not be leaving anybody with the thought that staff hasn't done an excellent job both in Archer Avenue and the entire downtown redevelopment. And that's my view, and that's a fact. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other business? Any other trustee wish to make comments? Any issue at all? Okay. With that, I need a motion to adjourn the village board meeting. Motion by Kim,
Second.
second by Voss.
Is this really going to be our last one here?
It's our last
Promise?
one. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Thank you.